Single Dad was cleaning the stage. Then his piano performance left the audience speechless. He wears the same gray uniform every day. He does not complain. He does not ask for anything. He just works. Quietly, carefully, the way a person works when they have learned that nobody is watching. His name is not important right now. What matters is what he carries inside him. And that is something nobody at the Riverside Community Theater had any idea about. Every morning, he walks through the heavy back doors of the theater before anyone else arrives. He turns on the lights. He sweeps the stage. He wipes down the seats. He cleans the bathrooms, mops the hallways, and makes sure the whole place is spotless before the performers and directors and audience members show up and fill it with their noise and their energy. He is invisible to most of them, and he has learned to be okay with that. But there is one thing in that building that he cannot ignore, no matter how hard he tries. Right in the center of the stage, every single day, sits a big black piano, a Steinway, the kind of piano that costs more than most people's cars. It just sits there, under a spotlight, waiting for someone worthy enough to play it. Every morning, when he cleans the stage, he walks past that piano slowly. He always wipes it down with a soft cloth, the lid, the sides, the legs. He does it gently, like he is handling something precious. And sometimes, just for a second, his fingers rest on the smooth wooden top a little longer than they need to. Then he picks up his mop and walks away. Here is the part of his life that nobody at that theater knows. 30 years ago, this man sat in front of a piano for the first time, and something happened inside his chest that he had never felt before. He was 8 years old. His mother had taken him to a neighbor's house, and the neighbor had an old upright piano pushed against the wall. The boy, back then, sat down on the bench, pressed a single key, and heard the note hang in the air. And something in him just knew. He practiced every chance he got after that. He was not the kind of kid who had to be told to practice. He wanted to. He would sit at that piano for hours, while other kids were outside playing football. By the time he was 16, people in his neighborhood would stop outside the window of his house just to listen. Teachers at his school talked about him. A music teacher once told his mother, in a very serious voice, that her son had a gift, a real one, and that it would be a shame to waste it. He got a scholarship. A partial one, but still. A scholarship to study music at a proper conservatory. He packed his bags and left for the city with big dreams and a worn-out notebook full of compositions he had written himself. And then, life happened. The bills started coming. The kind of bills that do not stop coming. He left the conservatory. He told himself it was just for a little while. He would go back. He would figure it out. He never went back. Instead, he worked. He worked any job that paid. Factory shifts, delivery routes, maintenance work. When his 2 daughters were born, one after the other, 2 years apart, he worked harder. When his wife passed away, 4 years ago now, he sat in the hospital parking lot for 2 hours before he could make himself drive home to tell the girls. He does not talk about any of this, not to his coworkers, not to his daughters, not really. They know their mother is gone. They know their father works hard. They do not know about the piano. He took the custodial job at the theater because the hours were good for the girls. He could drop them at school in the morning and be home before dark. The piano being there every day was just something he had learned to live with, like a scar that does not hurt anymore, most of the time. The place was buzzing. Everyone was running around getting ready. The event coordinator, a kind but very stressed woman named Carol, was on her phone trying to solve 17 problems at once. One of those problems was a 17-year-old girl standing backstage in a blue dress, trying not to cry. She had traveled 2 hours to perform a vocal piece at this showcase. It was a big deal for her. She had practiced for months, but her accompanist, the pianist who was supposed to play while she sang, had canceled that afternoon. Car trouble. No backup plan. No replacement. Carol tried everything. She called 3 people. None of them could come on such short notice. She was running out of time. She walked out onto the stage to think, and that is when she saw him. He was sweeping the far end of the stage, moving quietly and steadily, paying no attention to the chaos around him. She did not expect anything when she asked. She was just desperate enough to ask everyone. "Excuse me," she said. "This is a strange question, but do you know anyone who can play piano? We have a situation." He stopped sweeping. He looked at Carol. Then he looked at the Steinway. "I used to play," he said. His voice was calm, almost flat. Carol stared at him. "You play piano?" "I used to." "How long ago?" He thought about it. "A long time." Carol looked at the clock on the wall. 40 minutes until the show. She looked back at him. "Would you be willing to just try? Even if you just get her through the song, it would mean the world to this girl." He set his broom against the wall. He walked to the piano. He pulled out the bench. He sat down. The moment he sat down, something shifted. It was hard to explain. His posture changed. His shoulders dropped. His back straightened. He looked like a completely different person. He placed his hands on the keys. He played a few notes. Just testing. Gentle at first, like he was asking the piano a question and waiting to see how it answered. Carol was watching from the side of the stage. She had expected something rough, maybe a little awkward. A man trying to remember something from long ago. She had expected to be politely grateful and then go find another solution. She did not expect what she heard. The notes that came out of that piano were not the notes of a man who had forgotten how to play. They were full and warm and sure of themselves. The sound filled the empty theater and went all the way up to the ceiling and just stayed there. Carol forgot to breathe for a second. He stopped, looked at her, and said quietly, "Tell the girl to come out." The young girl in the blue dress came onto the stage with her sheet music and her nerves and her trembling hands. He looked at what she had brought. He nodded. He asked her to take a breath. She did. He started to play. When the audience walked in that evening, there was already a quiet rumor going around backstage. The stagehands were talking. The other performers were whispering. "Did you hear about the janitor? Someone said he plays like you wouldn't believe." A few people peeked through the curtain to look at him, but he had gone back to his work, pushing a cart through the side aisle, collecting trash bags, doing his job. The girl in the blue dress found him just before her slot came up in the program. She was nervous all over again, but she was also determined. She asked him, not Carol, not the director. She asked him personally, looking him straight in the eye. "Will you play for me? On stage? In front of everyone?" He looked at the stage. He thought about his daughters, who were sitting in the third row with the neighbor who had brought them. He had gotten them the tickets weeks ago so they could watch the show. He thought about his wife. About a notebook full of music that was probably in a box somewhere in the back of a closet. "Okay," he said. He walked out onto that stage in his gray custodial uniform. No suit. No introduction. Just a man in work clothes who sat down at a Steinway in front of 400 people. There was a moment, a confused, uncertain moment, when the audience did not know what to think. A few people whispered to each other. Someone laughed softly, not meanly, just surprised. A man in the back row leaned over to his wife and said, "Is this part of the show?" And then he started to play. What happened next is hard to put into words, which is funny, because music is like that. It does something that words cannot do. Within the first few bars, the whispering stopped. The shuffling stopped. The whole room went quiet. Not the polite quiet of an audience being patient, but the real quiet. The kind that only comes when something unexpected and beautiful is happening, and everyone in the room can feel it. He did not just play the notes on the page. He played around the girl's voice. He listened to her, responded to her, made space for her when she needed it, and lifted her up when she was ready. It was a conversation. It was something that takes not just skill but years of feeling and loss and love and time. The girl sang better that night than she ever had before. She told people that later. She said she felt like the music was holding her up. A full, complete, 3-second silence. And then the audience stood up. Not all at once. It started at the front and rolled back like a wave, person by person, until the whole theater was on its feet. 400 people clapping for a man in a gray uniform who had shown up that morning to clean the floors. In the third row, his younger daughter grabbed her sister's arm. She did not have words yet for what she was feeling. She just held on tight and cried, the way kids cry when they are proud and overwhelmed, and do not fully understand why their heart feels so big. His older daughter was already standing. She was shouting something. People around her were smiling, because they could see what she was saying even over all the noise. "That's my dad. That's my dad." After the show, a man came to find him backstage, older, silver-haired, with the kind of quiet confidence that comes from spending decades in professional music. He was the artistic director of the theater. He had been in the industry for 40 years. He had heard thousands of performances in his life. He shook his hand and said, "I want to ask you something, and I want you to think before you answer. Where have you been?" It was not the question he expected. He did not have an easy answer for it. He thought about the factory shifts, the delivery routes, the hospital parking lot, the gray uniform he was still wearing, the two girls who were waiting for him somewhere in this theater. "Taking care of my family," he said. The director nodded slowly, like that was the most complete answer he had ever heard. The next week, the director called him with an offer. Not fame, not a recording contract. Nothing dramatic like that. Just a part-time role. Weekend mornings, coaching piano students at the theater. Small money at first, but real work. His kind of work. He still comes in before sunrise. He still mops the stage in the same overlapping arcs. He still wears the gray uniform during the week. That has not changed, and maybe it will not change for a while yet. Life is not a movie. Things do not flip overnight. But now, in the quiet of the early morning, before anyone else walks through the doors, he sits at the Steinway. He plays, not for an audience, not for applause. He plays for himself, for the boy he was at 8 years old who pressed one key and felt something wake up inside his chest. He plays for his wife, who used to fall asleep on the couch while he practiced late at night. He plays for his daughters, who are only now beginning to understand who their father really is. His older daughter asked him, a few days after the show, why he had never told them he could play like that. He thought about it for a long time. "I didn't stop being a pianist because I forgot," he said. "I stopped because I needed to be your dad first, and I would do it the same way again." She did not say anything back. She just hugged him, the way kids hug you when they finally understand something they did not understand before. The stage had been there the whole time. The music had been there the whole time. Sometimes the most extraordinary things in this world are not hidden. They are just quietly doing the work that needs doing, waiting for the moment when someone finally thinks to ask. And sometimes, all it takes is one question, one long shot, one seat at a piano, and everything changes.